every single time, because America is still a free country and we still have a right to face our accusers. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to continue to expose the lies. I have zero connection to Russia. I'm an American patriot. Everyone knows it. And this whole Russiagate thing is about delegitimizing the election that the American people had in 2016. And it's a fraud, and as the president says, it is a witch hunt. But it's beyond a witch hunt. They have used the lies in these committee hearing meetings in the House and Senate to deplatform me and unperson me off of the internet so that I can't respond to the future lies and the straw men that they built. This is a danger to this country. In what free nation do they have hearings at the national level and talk about someone like Alex Jones, yours truly, for hours, and then never have a chance to then be heard by the committee? What country have we turned into where the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN openly lobby to take me off every platform and openly lobby that anyone that talks about Alex Jones in a positive way will then also be blacklisted off the internet? Google and Apple are officially moving to China. They are adopting Chinese communist-style tactics. They are helping censor and round up the political dissidents, the Buddhists and the Christians and others, who are then taken and worked to death and their organs harvested. Just in 2006, 2010, they had committee hearings in this very Senate Committee on Intelligence and told Google, you are now evil. You are aiding and abetting evil. Look at the congressional record. 10 years later, there's zero discussion of Apple and Google and others moving to China. Apple has moved the iCloud to China and has given the government the code keys to everyone's Apple device. A total national security violation of the highest levels ever seen. It's well known that Hillary transferred the Office of Personnel Management files of 21 million U.S. government individuals and their families to the communist Chinese. And that's why Trump's enemy number one. Because there's a globalist sellout of our country to communist China and espionage carried out by the Democratic Party and many members of the Republican Party as well. That's why I've been targeted. So I can't have a press conference. As you can see in America, cannot face my accusers. That's how it works in this country. There you go. That'll be your newscast.
You only need like 10 seconds. Oh, yeah.
Are you going to the end?
I'm just mad because they
I'm hearing you well.
All right. Alex, we're Breitbart. We want to do an interview.
Back up for me, please.
Is it Paul from media?
That's great. All right, so right now it looks like they're questioning Alex. Jack, yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Jeff Sobek here, One American News. So got to listen a little bit. I just popped in there. I asked them. I said, "Are you detaining Alex? Are you arresting Alex?" They said, "No. This is merely just a conversation that they want to have with him. He's here behind this closed door. They did not allow us to have access while they're discussing whatever it is they're discussing with him." But I do want to point out that of all these,
Have you ever seen this happen before?
I've never seen this happen before. Typically, this specifically is set up for people to hold press conferences. Usually what will happen is either witnesses like Jack Dorsey or Sheryl Sandberg or senators, sometimes senior staffers will come out here and address the press. And that's I mean, you can even see it right there. This is set up. There is a microphone here.
you guys just got your news.
Do you have any response to the fact that Twitter says that you specifically violated their terms of service?
Well, when Peter Fonda said that he wanted to kidnap the president's son and put him in a cage with pedophiles to rape him, that violated their terms of service as well. They're all very subjective. They can say and do whatever they want. The media ran a hoax and said that I said things on Twitter I didn't say. And so again, they can say all day I violated their terms. Jack Dorsey didn't take me off Twitter. And you, the so-called media, has been foaming at the mouth to get me further deplatformed so I can't respond to the lies. Think about this in America. Think about this in America. That I have been unable. This is the 11th hearing that they've had in the last year and a half where I'm one of the main focuses, and I have not ever been called to testify when they say outrageous, slanderous, defamatory things when they've had in the House Intelligence Committee, Senate Intelligence Committee, and others. They'll have people point blank from the CIA, you name it, who are leftists, say Alex Jones works for the Russians. That is an outrageous lie beyond Joseph McCarthy, anything he ever did. But when McCarthy did it, the people got to come in and got to confront the committee and say, you have no decency. How dare you act like this? This is 100 times worse than anything Joseph McCarthy ever did, and it's a shame.
Mr. Jones, this morning's hearing is specifically about preventing election manipulation. This afternoon's hearing is... Sure,
yeah. But every time they have these meetings, they bring up InfoWars. They claim they're taking InfoWars down to stop election meddling. Obama established with an executive order. He established with an executive order before he left office a special office that deals with foreign propaganda. What it's really been used is to target domestic populist popular groups. The real election meddling is by Facebook and Google and others that are shadow banning people, that are outright banning people, and that are blocking conservatives involved in their own First Amendment political speech. There is a giant crackdown that even the New York Times calls it a crackdown on conservatives, and a plan to deplatform conservatives from the internet and communicating with each other, just like communist China. This is dangerous authoritarianism, and they've packaged silencing Americans who are popular and well-spoken, as Tucker Carlson said about me on Fox News, not because what I say is bad, but because what I say is effective and true and popular. So they build straw men and misrepresent what I've said and do, and then they use that straw man to try to kick me off of the air. This is so dangerous to now have the New York Times foaming at the mouth calling for me to be taken off the internet completely, and anyone who supports me being taken off. My God, this is true authoritarianism come to America, and you've got a bunch of dying corporate mainstream media that doesn't know what to do. And because they don't have any viewers or listeners, people that support them anymore, they think silencing independent media and silencing newswars.com and silencing infowars.com is to somehow let them get control of the narrative and stop the giant political realignment that's happened in this country towards populism and free market and a 4.6% growth rate. That's what they want. That's what's going on here. I'm brought here with Jack Posobiec from One American News.
Can you tell us
this guy, patriot, naval intelligence, whole nine yards. Tell them what's really happening here.
Alex, what we've seen and what we're starting to see in a lot of this is a lot of censorship, primarily of conservative voices and independent voices. You know, one thing that a lot of people have said about you is they talk about violence and inciting violence, but you know, from what I've been able to see from InfoWars, you've got a very strong anti-war perspective. And how would you comment on that?
Well, that's right. We had New York Times reporters lie about WMDs in Iraq consciously, Judith Miller, and that got over 1 million Iraqis killed and tens of thousands of our troops. And then I have the New York Times asking me if I'm inciting violence. This is what they do.
Adjourn the hearing. The nomination process was compromised.
Well, this isn't the Supreme Court.
You're talking about the media, right? You're talking about freedom of the press. Brett Kavanaugh does not believe in freedom of the press. He does not uphold the First Amendment right to protest and freedom of speech.
Can I ask you this question? What do you think about the left openly pushing to have conservatives deplatformed and taken off the internet?
I don't think that's the issue that we need to care about the most. What we need to protect right now is rule of law, democracy, the political process.
Okay, so conservatives don't have any free speech. You just heard it.
Alex, can you respond to this?
Yes.
There are reports that say Jack Dorsey actually intervened to keep you on Twitter yourself.
Right now,
Man, with all due respect,
undermining
that Jack Dorsey
transparency.
intervened to some of his colleagues
Jack
and said,
Dorsey-
I want to keep him on the platform. How do you respond to those
Let's be clear.
reports?
Jack Dorsey and executives at Twitter denied that to USA Today. So, I think that's more fake news. But Jack Dorsey's made it no.
He interfered to help you in any way.
Well, he's denied that. So you asked the question. I don't know. All I know is this. Simultaneously, 4 major tech giants in 24 hours admitted they colluded, violating Sherman Antitrust Act 2, bare minimum, to deplatform me for more than 20 million subscribers total. People that chose to go click and link and listen to what I was saying and what I was doing. They told 20 million subscribers, you can't go listen to Alex Jones anymore. How un-American is that? And then Jack Dorsey, who admits he's a liberal, and they let the leftists on their call for killing everybody, all sorts of violence. He said, look, okay, you could technically say Jones might have violated a rule here or there, but compared to the left and all the incredible violence they're calling for, there is no comparison. So the media's had to cherry pick things that I say on air. Like Chuck Todd this weekend said, the Democrats and Republicans are coming together in a call to arms against President Trump. And some conservatives said, oh, they're calling for violence. No, they're not. It's a figure of speech, okay? So when I say we're in an information war and we're going to go over the top and we're in the trenches, those are all metaphors. Everybody knows what they mean, but the media won't show the video clips. They take words I said, like word salad, and put them together. And then I open up the newspaper, and it sounds like I'm saying the most outrageous stuff ever, which I won't even repeat here as a false quote because the media will run with it.
Sir, can you tell us why you're here
What
today?
is the way forward? What is it? Is it more regulation? Is it more laws? Is it other companies? What do you see as a way to break free of this situation?
That's a really great question. From my research in top law firms here in D.C. and in New York and L.A., we have looking at this, and we have been getting information to the president, briefs on this. And I told people a month ago he was going to take action. He started doing that. They're looking at Sherman Antitrust Act 2, illegal collusion, violation of campaign finance law, in-kind donations by these big tech giants, blocking all conservatives, blocking members of Congress, shadow banning. That's billions of dollars basically in gifts to the Democrats by blocking their competition from the free marketplace of ideas. So the president needs to move forward with a push for a blue ribbon commission on defense of the First Amendment. He needs to move now with executive orders exposing that this is a new form of campaign finance violation and in-kind gifts to the Democrats by big tech. He needs to continue to expose what these companies are doing. He needs to send in federal regulators from the Federal Trade Commission because these companies are colluding together in fraud to suppress the marketplace. He needs to expand his move against Facebook for violation of the Unfair Housing Act, where they track your sexual preference, your medical issues, how old you are, where you come from, to decide what to charge you. Everybody deserves to be charged the same price with open market stuff, not being tracked with secret data. So what these big tech giants have done is gotten away with murder, violating our rights, working with communist China, suppressing populations, and just doing incredibly evil things. But because they all pose as liberal trendies and wear, funny socks, it's all supposedly cute. It's not. President Trump is and needs to move aggressively with only 61 days left till this critical historical election with worldwide implications of nationalism versus globalism, and needs to stop the election meddling by big tech and the Democratic Party, who are openly trying to steal this election at 1,000,000 times what a few Russian bots could ever try to do. The truth is Facebook and Google are giant Democrat Party bots. We have the WikiLeaks from Schmidt, the head of Alphabet and Google, saying we are 100% Democrat. We are going to block everybody, and we're going to deliver Hillary into the White House just like we did Obama. But then when they failed, they got mad, and they said, this time we will deliver you the victory. So this is big tech, allied with communist China and authoritarians, lined up against the American people, and an American president trying to kill our recovery, trying to kill our populist movement. And that's why you've got desperate leftists and major newspapers openly calling for all of their competition to be shut down. This is outrageously villainous. Who would have imagined 10 years ago that you'd ever see mainstream media doing something like this, saying shut down not just Alex Jones, as Senator Murphy said a month ago in a tweet. He's only the tip of the iceberg. He said shut them all down. And then Senator Wyden said Alex Jones isn't the worst because he's God, And he said a bunch of stuff I didn't say. He goes, Alex Jones isn't the worst. There's thousands of others that need to be shut down, deplatformed, disappeared. And the so-called press that went to journalism school is foaming at the mouth like mad Cujo dogs with rabies to tear the First Amendment apart. Remember this. You killed your profession by becoming nothing but mercenaries for the globalist, and people know that you're fake news, many of you. Now, with you trying to kill the First Amendment, you're making yourself true villains. CNN is not just fake news. It's the criminal news network that works as a racketeering crime syndicate to openly shut down my media operations and other people's media operations. They have sent the New York Times and Washington Post for 6 months to stalk me where I live and to offer people money to lie about me, and they can't even find people to do it. This is a criminal mafia that thinks they own this country. And Judgment Day politically is here, and the attempts to intimidate the American people and the attempts to silence us and the attempts to bully me and others into submission to this globalist system are not going to work. The answer, because I'm a libertarian and I don't believe in a lot of regulation, but by the government leaving a vacuum, the communist Chinese, the EU with its big billion-dollar fines, the Democratic Party, Senator Warner, who's been quarterbacking this, came 5 weeks ago to big tech. This is in the news. And they said, if you don't ban all these conservatives and give us the election for the Democrats, we're going to bust you up and we're going to make you federal with real antitrust because you're already a trust. And so they said, okay, we'll ban then all the conservatives. Who do we start with? Start with Jones. He's a good straw man. We've demonized him. We built this. And so that's what they did. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about how they do this over and over and over again. Senator Warner told big tech, shut down the conservatives. Senator Warner told them, shut down the conservatives 5 weeks ago, and that's why they're doing this, to steal the election.
very
Jack
much highlighting
Dorsey
the fact,
suspended you for several
very
days.
safe
Did that at all
that
change
he's
your
not.
behavior on Twitter or other social media? How did it impact the way that you conduct yourself on social media?
You're saying change my behavior.
I'm asking if it did.
Those tweets that the media took out of context did not violate Twitter's terms of service. I am super tame compared to the leftists that are on Twitter and the horrible things that they're saying. So
do you believe that
Jack Dorsey did the 7-day ban because he was under massive pressure from stockholders and the media to completely ban me. And he did that as a stopgap measure to get the dogs off.
What do you say to the people out there who
What's a conservative activist, just patriots and pro-free speech people do? Get politically involved, speak out, stand up for the First Amendment, not just of conservatives, but of everybody, and build your own media operations and support independent media that tells the truth. That's what needs to be done.
Sir, can you tell us why you're here today? Why you came? Do you want to be part of the hearing? Or are you here to do the press conference?
Back to the microphone, sir, please.
You guys want to come around this way? Go around. How you want to do it? This way?
Yeah, we will get around. All right.
Sandy Hook parents, Alex?
What about all the dead Iraqi children that the left and the Senate? What about Judith Miller getting 1 million dead Iraqis? You gonna say sorry as a leftist for supporting the New York Times? Because I've already responded to that. This is about deplatforming and the American people. Yeah, I'm responding.
Start first, please.
Okay, I'm gonna say why I'm here.
Say sorry to the Sandy Hook parents, Alex.
I am here because there is a concerted effort by the Democratic Party and multinational corporations and big tech to silence conservative and nationalist and populist voices ahead of this critical midterm election. And the big tech companies and the head of Apple admit that they met with Senator Warner, who's running this whole thing, to begin shutting down conservatives, or the Democrats threatened to federalize big tech if they did not basically roll over to them. So the Republicans left a vacuum there by not coming in with regulations to say you cannot violate people's free speech. So I want regulations like the First Amendment to be enforced to say you're not going to violate people's free speech. You're not going to be able to shut people down like this. And I'm also here to be able to face my accusers. This is the 11th hearing they've had where they make up all these incredible lies about me and others to sell the end of the First Amendment. And so that's why I'm here to expose this. I'm here to speak out about this. And I'm here to discuss the reality that there is an attempted purge of the First Amendment taking place in this country. And Apple and Google have already moved to China and are helping round up political dissidents. They've had Senate hearings a decade ago saying that Google is now aiding evil in China and helping round people up. And now Google's officially moving to China to run their whole grid of true authoritarianism. It's the New York Times that lied about.
Google's not here.
I understand. They're all, well, they all made that decision together. Facebook, Google, Apple, as a consortium, made the decision to deplatform me, to lie about me, and to set the precedent to start deplatforming everybody else. And it's happening to everybody now who's a libertarian or conservative. The dominoes are falling. The First Amendment's being destroyed. But I think the corporate dying dinosaur media has bit off more than it can chew. And what you've done is only going to make people be that much stronger and fight for free speech that much more. But I'll say this, shame on the mainstream corporate media, shame on the mainstream corporate media for not defending the First Amendment, but instead attack dogging, calling for federal regulators to shut down independent free press, working with big tech. These big monopolies need to be broken up. And these are digital commons, they've said in their own words, and under federal law, and they shouldn't be in there controlling what individuals are saying in those private discussions and in those discussions online. If it's not criminal, what's being said and what's being done. They let Antifa and all the Democrats organize crime and murder and criminal activity on Facebook and Twitter. But if somebody like me makes fun of somebody, or if I say don't sexualize kids, then they sit there and take that down. And also what the corporate media does, because he brings up Sandy Hook, is they take things you did. If you want me to answer your question, I will. You're just going to keep barking stuff.
Go ahead. Are you sorry?
Judith Miller lied about WMDs and over 1 million Iraqis got killed. But everybody says she's a great lady. I sit there because people online questioned Sandy Hook 5 years ago. I listened to the ideas, and for years I've said I believe it happened, and I've apologized if things I said taken out of context hurt people's feelings. But the corporate media will then never, ever run all the dozens and dozens and dozens of times that I sat there and I said I believe mass shootings happen. And this year, the media lied, and I'll offer people $1 million that can find this. The corporate media lied, and CNN called for me to be taken off YouTube and everywhere else, saying that I said no one died at Parkland and they were crisis actors. That is not what I said. I said the police stood down. And then people pointed out that out of 3,000 students, the four they used in the media bragged on NBC News that they were in the drama club, and I said they were well-spoken, anti-gun young people. That's why they were chosen. Saying people were in the drama club so they're well-spoken is not saying they're crisis actors and nobody died. And the corporate media then rebooted that because that's what they do, like babies in incubators, which didn't die. And they had hearings in here in 1991, 1990, claiming that Saddam's people in Kuwait took little babies out and bashed their brains out, and that's how they started the invasion that later killed millions and millions of people. So hold on. If this Senate has had hearings in this building and in other buildings, lying and saying that Saddam Hussein bashed babies' brains out to launch a war, people then have a right to question corporate media. And later, if you find out it happens, then you say, okay, you believe it happened. That is what I stand on. That's the fact.
So what regulation, though, are you're calling for government to regulate media?
Let me explain what I'm saying. You can have a law, like the law currently is, saying these are digital commons, so Google and Facebook and all these groups don't have liabilities with what a third party says or does on their little message board or their page or their video post, as long as it's not illegal. So they get these liability protections by saying that they're not the publishers. You understand? And so now they're coming in saying, no, we'll choose what could be on, and clearly discriminating against conservatives. So I'm saying we need an executive order, we need hearings, enforcing the law that you can't go in there and then act as, quote, publishers, but also have the liability protection that these monopolies have. And I want Sherman Antitrust Act 2 enforced, and I want the Fair Housing Trade Act enforced. Who do you think had the top lawyers write up the reports to get them to the president? Think the Easter Bunny did that? Because while you guys sit there and put up one image of Alex Jones, there's a completely real Alex Jones behind the scenes. And that's why Soros and the globalists are scared. What I do behind the scenes is far more effective than what I do on the air. I've learned half the time you can't even get through to the public. But you know what? I can sure get through to policymakers and people with reports from top law firms. So you wait in the next few weeks with what you're about to see with executive orders. I told you this stuff was coming with Facebook. You watch what happens. It'll be more important what happens in this meeting. This is going to be a political meeting in here where the Democrat senators are going to say horrible things about me and horrible things about Trump, and then the executives will agree with them like it's true.
So
that's
it should
all.
be illegal to ban you from Twitter. That's what you want? It should be illegal.
No, that's not what I'm saying. They have to follow the law. You understand the law? They can't sit there and arbitrarily enforce when they say under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and other sections that they're operating under, that they can't use their own discrimination against people and ban them as a group, especially when the Democrats, you can't have it both ways, are everywhere saying deplatform conservatives, deplatform Christians, deplatform Trump supporters. They're everywhere saying remove us because of who we are political. So just like we have laws protecting people because of their race or their sexual issues, we need to then be able to say for your political ideals as well, and you know it's all coming. Because the persecution of libertarians and conservatives and Christians is massive, and there will be political action against it, and you guys attempted bullying and reign of terror against the American people is coming to an end. Just wait, 2 weeks. Get ready for the executive orders, everything else. Enjoy yourselves. Because they can't stand the fact that they don't want me to face my accusers. But every time they have these committee hearings, I'm going to be here. And I'm going to lead marches in Washington because I'm going to tell the truth. And the mainstream media, doesn't matter how you edit this or what you do, everybody's going to end up getting the truth. It's not going to be stopped. We're going to have people going in legally and lawfully into sports stadiums. We're going to have people doing all sorts of stuff. You're not going to stop the message. You have just awakened the sleeping giant. The corporate dinosaur press and the kingpin Carlos Slim and Jeff Bezos and all these other mafia thugs and the Chi-Coms running it are about to find out the sleeping giant's awake. So I'm here to face my accuser. I'm here to let them know they're not going to sit there in their committee and lie about me and say, well, Jones is a racist. Why do you let him on air and never show any proof? Or Alex Jones is a Russian agent and never show any proof. I get to face my accusers. When they had the McCarthy hearings, wasn't it in this building? When they had the McCarthy hearings with people that were admittedly in the Communist Party, they got to face their accusers. When people were called Russian agents, they got to be in here. Even when people that were from Russia and people that had backgrounds connected to the Russians, they got to face their accusers. My family's been here since before 1776, frickin' founded Texas. And these traitorous globalists sit in here and tell me that I'm a Russian agent. They are the criminals. So listen, Bill Clinton, Hillary, Uranium One, all of it, it's coming out. Mueller delivering uranium on the tarmac. Jerry Epstein covering up the Lolita Express with video cameras on the airplanes to frame people. Mueller, he's a monster. These people are monster criminals.
Alex,
Just like I said, the Catholic Church is coming down for the pedophile stuff. You watch. Half this government is run off pedophilia, and everybody knows it. And the media can't cover it up anymore, so good luck.
Just to be clear,
America's waking up.
You're calling for the federal government.
You're calling for the federal government.
The moderating of online.
No, you're not listening. The
Alex
law.
Jones is still here.
The law says they're
The cameras, but
third-party
inside Senator
systems.
Warner is giving
Okay,
his opening
there is a
remarks.
law saying that they
And
have
he
to either be a
just made the
publisher or a
point that he said
newspaper.
the wild
They be liable
west
for what's on the
days of the internet are
platform,
over,
or they
that
have to be
he,
a
because of his
third-party
own background,
commons and a
appreciates
telecommunications
the
system,
innovation
like two
that
people
we've
on a
seen out of
phone
the
line.
sector, but
The
now
phone company's not
it's
responsible for what you say
time
over a
to
phone
make sure
line.
that
So it's
it is-
called the law.
There's
And I
oversight
said the press
to
is
make
there
sure that there
to
is
murder
not
the truth
manipulation
and
of these
confuse
now
listeners and viewers.
incredibly
But I'm saying
powerful
enforce the law.
platforms.
Jack,
Can you
so
talk a little bit
you're
about the risk
smart on this
of the
telephone.
spread of false information and how important that would be for any sector, not just manipulation of the election, but also when it comes to manipulation of the stock market or
Which has been set up as a way to kind of provide sort of immunity for content that has on them, as opposed to actual platforms. Actually, Cassandra, do you want to mention that about Section 230?
Yeah, come on over here.
Come on.
Yeah, Section
Yes,
230, which they've been abusing to shut down all conservatives, and you've also got the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, Safe Harbor. Those are laws. You know, the way Google and the way Facebook.
So you want to apply those to?
I want to apply. You understand? You can have a law like the First Amendment that says we have a right to peaceably assemble, we have a right to speech, we have a right to religion. Government can't make any regulations thereof. See, it's a positive law pointing out freedoms we already have that are inalienable. You understand? So that's the Bill of Rights. That's the Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or the freedom of the press, the right to assemble, petition the government for redress of grievances. That's the First Amendment that you guys in journalism are supposed to know about. So it's saying you can't sit there and take somebody's free speech away extrajudicially. Okay? That's what they're doing.
Are you asking these social media platforms to be treated more like, to be regulated more like a public utility? Or
They say they're a public utility.
Okay.
That's what they.
You have the right to be here, but you can't block out shot. Thank you.
Oh, oops. Oh,
Guys, they are public utilities. That's in federal law. The tech giants have argued their utilities. They've argued that your speech isn't their concern as long as it's not criminal. If you can't call the cops on somebody for what they're saying, you can't take it down. Someone can sue you for that through the legal system. That's called checks and balances. If not, you end up in Nazi Germany or Communist China, which Google and Apple have moved to and are helping suppress their people. They had Senate Intelligence Committee hearings in 2006 and 10 where they said Google is now aiding and abetting evil in China. Google is now authoritarian. You need to stop. I know Google's not here today, but Facebook's moving in. All of these companies are moving into China, and they're all colluding together. And that's the point.
so how are you going to confront them on a daily basis? I caught bits and pieces, but I wanted you to explain.
Every time they have one of these hearings, I sat back and watched the last 10, where they lie about me and they lie about the First Amendment and they misrepresent what I've said. I'm going to come to D.C. and I'm going to have press conferences, and I'm going to start having marches, and I'm going to start doing a lot more because I'm going to face my accuser whether they want me out there or not. I am going to confront the lying, corporate, spineless media that is now an assassin of truth, that now works with big corporations to try to silence independent, real media, talk radio, you name it. The corporate media is dying because people know they lie. They know they edit. They know they twist. And so the corporate media is in a perfect storm with the collapsing Democratic Party and the collapsing Republican blue blood neocon establishment to circle the wagons and use governmental power, claiming that the election was stolen by Russians and that everybody that wants freedom or low taxes is a Russian agent. They have said in committee hearings, in the House Intelligence Committee, Armed Services Committee, and others that, quote, Alex Jones is run by the Russians. That is like saying I'm run by Martians. It is an absolute, total, ridiculous fraud. It's unbelievable. And now they've used that to try to go after my credit card processors, to try to take my websites down. I mean, they are viciously trying to shut me down, and it's being run out of an office inside the CIA with that whole act that Obama signed in the Defense Authorization Act of 2017, the Countering Foreign Disinformation Propaganda Act. They've got billions of dollars that they're paying to corporate media to put these lies out. Yes, he was. He signed the executive order.
Barack Obama was president in 2017.
You better believe it. Trump came in on the 20th of January. God, you liberals are dumb. I mean, it's unbelievable, brother. You're dumber than the damn box of rocks, son.
What kind of?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you when. I'm gonna tell you how it works, okay? Okay. On December 9th, he signed the defense authorization, and then about 2 weeks later, early January, he signed another executive order. Go read it. I just gave you the name of it. The Countering Foreign Propaganda Disinformation Act.
2016 then.
Okay. No. Obama left office in January of 2017.
December of 2017.
No. I'm saying 16. But he also did it in 17. 2 acts. Look, Obama signed the orders. Go read the orders. You can deny it all day long, okay? That's how they play these games. Okay? Pardon me?
Will Silicon Valley win the next election?
Silicon Valley bragged and said they were going to swing the election for Hillary in internal emails. But America woke up. Yes, they're doubling down, thinking they can crush Americans like they've crushed the poor Chinese and like they've crushed other people. And big tech is working with authoritarians. You are losing your birthright. We are all in serious danger, ladies and gentlemen.
What does Twitter say to you? What do Google, what do the executives say to you when you take them on? I mean, do you send letters to them? Do you have your attorney to deal with them? What response are you getting on a legal basis as to why this is happening?
Look, Google has made the decision along with Apple to deplatform everyone and bring in authoritarianism. They've already made the deal and merged with China. Do you understand, folks? China is running the show. They own all 6 major Hollywood production houses. They own the national debt. They bought off all of our politicians. They were given the Panama Canal. They have 98% of rare earth minerals. You think the Chinese government got 98% of rare earth minerals by accident? Federal regulators preclude U.S. firms from extracting them. We have been handicapped by design by the communist Chinese that murder their political dissidents, that murder Falun Gong, that murder Christians and murder gays. And people can laugh about it, and the Chinese Chi-Com agents are everywhere in this country. They're running major universities, and we're getting ready to bust it all up. So keep laughing. You're going to find out, traitors.
When's the last time you spoke with the president?
I'm not going to get into that, but what I really do is I have top law firms write him briefings because all the other lawyers are scared to do it because everybody's scared of big tech.
But a lot of people are wondering about the dynamic of your relationship. First with the president, he's been on your show. When was the
I
last time you spoke with him?
have top law firms, sending briefs. I'm not going to get that. Just wait a few more weeks.
Okay.
Just like I told you it was coming on Facebook. Just wait a couple more weeks.
Do you have a direct line to the president?
I have many ways to get him the information. And then he says to his lawyers, "Why? Oh my God, look at this!" And he has other lawyers look at it. They go, "This is absolutely dead on. This is," and then it's got the law firm.
So what do you want the president to do? He always talks.
I provide patriots across the country with research. Other people aren't willing to spend money or spend time. I engage top law firms, 3 law firms, to write reports to the president.
Has the president made any decisions based off policy information you've given him?
No, I told you I've had top First Amendment and antitrust and anti-organized crime law firms that recognize that Mueller and the Clintons are an organized crime network and that big tech is an organized crime network allied with the foreign power China, and that they're using the Russia canard as the smokescreen for this takeover. The Pentagon, it isn't like I tell Trump anything. The Pentagon's telling him this. The patriots in the CIA that aren't leftists are telling him what he gets from the law firms I've sent is already what he's getting from the Pentagon. And he says, "Is this true?" And they go, "Yes, this is absolutely what's going on."
What action do you want him to take today? What do you want him to take? What do you want to do today?
I want the president to move with Sherman Antitrust Act 2 to enforce the First Amendment and end not just monopoly practices in business by the big tech giants, but their criminal collusion to violate the civil rights of the American people and to violate the Unfair Housing Act, which he's already doing with Facebook, but to move aggressively with federal regulators and the Federal Trade Commission, and to move aggressively with the special office that he needs to direct be set up in the FBI to move as a clear and present danger against the election meddling of the Communist Chinese, the Democratic Party, Hollywood, and the globalists attempting to overthrow this move to restore the republic back to the people.
Specifically, what do you want?
It's a national security issue. The Russians are babies compared to the Communist Chinese allied with the big banks in Hollywood. And the Chinese communist lust for blood over their own people is only surpassed by Hollywood's deep hatred for America, deep hatred of our success. Like Bill Maher said, he hopes we have a depression to teach Trump, folks. Again, these people hate America, folks. You've got to understand how much the controlled corporate left hates this country because they've been sucking off of us forever. And so their culture is hating America. Their culture is knowing that America's ethos is superior, and it is a system of hating America by losers and authoritarian trash. And the authoritarian trash is about to find out that not everybody's scared of them. And I'm taking them on, and I'm willing to be demonized and lied about by the corporate media because we're going to take this country back. And don't worry, the left wants to arrest everybody without trials. You're going to get to face your accusers. Those of you that have worked for the globalists, those of you that have been paid by foreign powers, you're going to be in front of a jury of your peers for the crimes you've committed. We've got the New York Times taking foreign money. We've got CNN taking it from Gulf dictator states. We've got you. This country they've used our open society to bring us down and to bring in all these foreign actors and all these criminal groups to totally sell the nation out. Mainstream media doesn't say a word about China killing 100 million of its own people. They don't say a word about killing Christians or Falun Gong or anybody else, which shows they love to do that here. And the universities are anti-free speech. The Congress doesn't let you face your accusers. They sit there and lie about you because they're authoritarians and they've made the leap into darkness of authoritarianism. And that's where we are, and that's why I'm here to say, listen, you can edit this and do whatever you want. People on the internet are going to see this. You can't deplatform me. The New York Times ran a fake story yesterday saying, my traffic has been cut in half. I pulled up Google Analytics that morning live at a desk in my office and showed us with almost triple our previous record, for the 2 weeks after, double our previous record, and now we're still above our all-time high level for a baseline. We have record traffic. Our apps on iPhone and on Android went to number 1 in news right after we got banned from being like number 10. So they delisted them from being number 1 so people wouldn't see we were number 1, but they're still there. And then the mainstream media lobbied for my apps to be taken out of the App Store, saying it's not enough, we want his apps removed. And now they're lobbying in iTunes, because you can still get to the directory on my website. It's on my servers. All iTunes does is put a wall up and then they direct you. They're lobbying to have millions of people's own computers delete Alex Jones on them. These people think they own your computers and my show that's free to air. This is pure authoritarianism. Are we going to just sit here and put up with this? So it is outrageous.
Where will voices like yours are you advocating they quit Twitter and start their own platforms?
Jack Dorsey knows which ways the wind's blowing. They've been some of the biggest censors out there at Twitter. And I think when the president pointed out what they were doing was illegal, he's kind of left me up there and a few others to say, oh, look, we're not censoring. And that's kind of the smokescreen for censoring that's going on. I don't think he's the worst. They've had polls that the big tech companies did just last week where over 70% of Apple employees want me completely banned from the internet, period. And then only 22% in the same internal survey at Twitter said they want to be banned. So I guess maybe Dorsey has some First Amendment in him because at least his employees in a survey said they believe in it.
What do you want President Trump to say to or do to China? I mean, he's buddies with Xi. What do you want him to do?
He's buddies with the dictator?
Well, he always says he's buddies with my good friend Xi.
While he puts hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs on them? And while he sends the fleets there to confront them and their belligerents trying to take over the South China Sea? And while they fired our ships? No, Trump is walking softly carrying a big stick, and he's hoping China understands that we put them in power in 49, that the Rockefellers put them in power, Mao Zedong, and that they're lucky they even exist because they didn't have any running water, there at the end of World War II. So if we would have gone there and saved them from the Japanese, they'd basically all be exterminated. So that's what's going on here, is that communist China has been enslaving its own people. And you got the Politburo appointing him as dictator for life. I understand Trump's being nice to him publicly for face saving so that it gives China an out to stop screwing us with a $500 billion trade deficit, $300 billion a year on top of that. So we're talking about $800+ billion in intellectual property being stolen on top of that. This is outrageous, and Trump's saying enough. Canada with a 280% tariff on us on dairy. We have no tariff on them. I mean, come on, folks. We have been used and abused by everybody. I love China. I love Canada. I love people that live in Europe. But they can't sit there and take us for granted anymore. And Trump's just being a good American president and standing up for the people. We've been so trained to hate our own country that we see somebody who's pro-American, we think he's the bad guy. No, Hollywood's the enemy.
Finally, did you request to go to either of these hearings today?
Yes, after they had 3 or 4 hearings in 2017 lying about me, I started calling. I started saying to the committees, next time you have them, please have me. I sent letters. No response back from anybody except Matt Gaetz. I got a message to him through Roger Stone before they had those last hearings 6 weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee. And I said, listen, you can be a champion of free speech. We're not calling for new regulation. We're calling for the regulation that there's a First Amendment to be enforced. And instead, he went there and said, you're a private company. Do whatever you want. The next day, they all shadow banned him. Because he told them, go ahead and shadow ban me. Then he went, whoa, I feel violated. I can't even talk to my constituents on Twitter. They went, oh, we're sorry, sir. You said we could. This is insane.
What should be done by credit card companies?
What?
You requested for this hearing in the House.
Yes, I have requested the last 7 hearings or so. I mean, the first 3 I watched with my mouth hanging open. Hours of them lying about me, just saying outrageous stuff where the Democrat congressmen and women will like say some terrible thing. You know, like, you heard Alex Jones, you'll kill Jesus, right? They're like, yes, we know, but he can still be honest. And they're like, well, we want him taken down. I mean, I sat there and I watched members of Congress and hearing after hearing say, we want InfoWars off the air. And then you've got Senator Murphy, you've got Senator Warner, you've got all these people, Senator Wyden saying, take Alex Jones completely off the internet, and thousands of others. That is so un-American. That is so dangerous. That is so out of control. Wake up, America. Stop living like this. Stop being idiots. Realize you're having your birthright stolen from you right now. This is serious business.
What should be done about credit card companies looking conservative?
Oh my God, that's totally illegal. That's total civil rights violation of credit card companies blocking conservatives having Visa or MasterCard or being able to sell their books. And the main group, strangely enough, they've been targeting are Jewish groups that are conservative, have now been having their credit cards taken away, just like Hitler did to the Jews in the 1930s. First thing Hitler did was take banking and commerce from the Jews. Then he put them in ghettos, then he took them off and killed them. And literally, you've got all these conservative Jewish groups having their banking taken away because they support the state of Israel. My God, this country has slid far. I mean, wow. Conservative Jews can't even have credit cards now in America. David Horowitz, Mr. Spence, I mean, the list goes on and on. They're literally being depersoned. I mean, my God. The left is literally recreating Nazi Germany here in America.
Wow, the press is silent.
Look it up. We've had them try to take our credit card processors away. They took one away. Saying, because, well, you can have your own website. No, they're trying to take our website down right now. They're trying to take Infowars.com down. All right, Jack, you got time to do that interview now, brother?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep going. Absolutely.
Anybody got a hand?
Of course he is.
Are you okay? Just want to see if you
Is there a bathroom right here?
Where's your restroom?
Alex just went to it that way.
Is that one?
Or, yeah, phone.
Guys, you cannot block this hallway. You cannot block this hallway. Oh my God.
Pretty impressive. In fact, I think the press ran out of questions. They actually stopped it. So that was very interesting to watch.
I'm going to talk to Jack and Cassandra over here.
Oh, no, I already got it.
What'd y'all think?
He outlasted them. They couldn't withstand the energy. You know, he just so many logic bombs, and he was short-circuiting their mental processes. So they would go to ask questions, and he's already answering their next questions before they've even finished the first question. And you could see people getting tripped up and all this. Well, that was 2016 or 2017. Obama was it? He's like, no, I'm gonna do this, and this, and here are the dates. But that date was like.
All right, what are we doing? All right, sorry, here, this guy just gave me that thing.
Here, Alex. We're not blocked. Just over here, I guess. We don't block the hallway.
Well, kind of looks good down that way.
Yeah, we do it down here. You guys always think about the angles, huh?
Not that I know what I'm doing.
All right, so Alex, what is the goal today? What is the goal that you want to get across? What's the bottom line?
My main goal is to warn the American people that our cherished First Amendment is literally being stolen, is being robbed from us right now. And they've had now 11 hearings where they demonize myself, the free press, the Drudge Report, you name it, and conservative talk radio, calling for us to be deplatformed. And now we have Senators Warner and Wyden and Murphy saying, don't just get rid of Alex Jones, which happened a month ago, criminal deplatforming, but they say, get rid of thousands of other sites. And so they brought in the Southern Poverty Law Center and Media Matters with big tech, admittedly, in people's accounts, watching them like the East German Stasi deleting people. So I'm here to raise the alarm and point out that they've had all these hearings and I've never been called. And so I've been calling and writing and telling my listeners to call them, and I've called members of Congress. I've gotten my contacts. I've had lobbyists try to call them and say, listen, you need to have me in the committee hearing here because in some of these hearings, they literally have people from the CIA and others up in defense committees in the House, and these are main committees, going, well, Jones is a Russian operative. I mean, it's completely criminal. But it's members of the government doing it inside of a committee hearing, so they're, I guess, legislatively protected, my lawyers tell me, to then lie about me. So it's so incredibly dangerous. And I want to warn Congress, because I know that many people don't know this because there's so many offices. In the Defense Authorization Act of 2017 that Obama signed in December of 2016, it creates hundreds of millions of dollars a year to go into this group.
Which, by the way, to go back on that thing real quick, when that guy was talking about 16 and 17, federal government FY17 starts at the end of 16. It starts in October of 16.
Exactly.
But I guess he just didn't seem to understand.
He didn't understand that, like, the outgoing president, the next budget, or if he was in the middle of his term, it's
because the budgets are done by the federal government
before
fiscal year.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just different. It's just basically doesn't understand the fact. What do you say, though? One argument we always hear in all of this is that we're conservatives, we're libertarians, we're Republicans. We're not supposed to regulate business. Isn't this a regulation we're putting on corporations? How would you respond to that argument?
That's a great point. And the way I've explained it to members of Congress and the way the law firms have explained it to some of the top folks in administration, and that they now get it, is conservatives were leaving it wide open. Like the head of the FCC and others said it should, and I agree with Mr. Pye. But then that let the Democrats come in and threaten regulations against big tech 6 weeks ago, which they did on record, led by Senator Warner. And so the big tech began by fiat regulations because there was a vacuum left there. So just like the First Amendment, it's not really a regulation. It's pointing out that you can't take these rights. It's basically like property rights. And so we're saying it reinforced the First Amendment. We need First Amendment enforcement that these big tech giants have operated as monopolies, they've operated as public commons, and they've argued that it's not their job to control your third-party content. Unless it's illegal, then they call the police. But they're going back on that now and discriminating against conservatives, nationalists, and patriots. So this is a major civil rights violation. It's a major violation of people's privacy. It's putting people into political groups and naming them, which group they're in, and tracking them and treating them differently. It's very, very un-American. So we simply need the enforcement of the First Amendment brought back in under the power of the executive in an emergency action because Congress is asleep at the switch.
What we've seen, what it sounds like you're saying more so, is that the First Amendment, the point of the First Amendment is to protect freedom of speech. And that freedom of speech is something that needs to be protected across all industries, across all fields, government, private. We should always protect freedom of speech. Is that essentially your bottom line?
Yes, and the left and the corporations have admitted that we're cracking down on conservatives. Alex Jones is just the start. We're going to ban everybody. Let's get them all off the air. They're everywhere saying they want to silence us. They say they're filing frivolous lawsuits on me to silence me. And they don't care they're going to end up losing the suits under the law. They're just using it as a way to try to intimidate everybody and shut everything down. So there is a war against free speech in this country. And I'm here raising the alarm.
Do you think that Trump will, and he's mentioned this, he's mentioned using Sherman antitrust. Do you think that he'll be able to win a fight on antitrust grounds on this, similar to how Reagan went against Bell?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these big tech giants have far more power than Ma Bell ever had. And so it's time. Microsoft got partially broken up. Well, my God, you've got the big tech so arrogant they colluded to deplatform me $3 trillion worth of companies in one day. And then 26 other companies followed suit. I mean, we even had major software groups look at our files and call us and say, and send mail saying, you can't even use our software anymore. And so we had lawyers threaten them and say, we have a damn contract. They're like, well, that contract's up in 7 months. I mean, they're in our business, in San Francisco as an elite, all working in concert to literally put me into an electronic ghetto.
Kind of switching topics for a quick second, but because you're close to it, it looks, everyone's basically saying Roger Stone, that Robert Mueller this week or possibly next week, they're having hearings on Stone. Do you think an indictment is coming on Stone, and will that be tied in all this?
Stone believes he's going to be indicted because they've questioned hundreds of people, and almost all of them are questioned about me intensely. And I mean, it's wild when they say,
Me too.
You too, yeah, they're questioning everybody. And they're asking, is this person a Russian agent? How much do the Russians pay him? I've never been paid a damn dime. Then the New York Times will go, how much did those Russians pay you? And I'm like, zero. Well, you went on RT, and I'm like, yeah, 4 years ago. I mean, but they're looking at you like they really think you're a Russian agent. These people are crazy. This is Trump derangement syndrome, and exactly, Roger's been told. One reason I was deplatformed was that Roger is on InfoWars every day, and they want him silenced, and they want InfoWars dialed back ahead of this big purge and whatever it is they're planning on trying to steal the midterms in 61 days.
One last question. We did a report on something, and you can comment on that if you want, but we did a report basically about the QAnon movement. Do you remember this
Yes.
Q stuff? What's your take on the current state of where that is?
Nothing against people that are into QAnon, but the information you break every day is some of the best out there, or that I break, or that Paul Watson breaks, or that people like Mike Cernovich break. I mean, those are real sources, hardcore, earth-shaking things. And QAnon is just basically, I believe, really kind of a disinformation operation that, oh, Mueller's a good guy, and oh, Sessions is a good guy, and stick with the plan, everything's fine. No, we're in a fight for this country's life. Everything is not okay.
We've uncovered evidence that there was a couple of guys on the 4chan website that basically created it as a prank. Would that sort of surprise you that it wasn't actually someone in government to begin with?
Yes, I believe it began as a prank from all the evidence we have. There's some really smart folks on 4chan that like to have fun with already available intel. So some of the first stuff was accurate. Then it got more and more outrageous, and a bunch of people started saying they were Q, and now it is just a totally ridiculous fraud to get people to ignore all the huge admissions. I mean, it's admitted that Obama, when he left a month before, set up in the Defense Authorization Act, in that $611 million, a stay-behind CIA group, people by leftists, just like in the Justice Department, they had 37 angry Democrats. This is a group of hundreds of operatives interfacing with the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN. They admit, they even mentioned the senators and the New York Times and CNN, who they then couple with. And so Oliver Darcy and all these people that you see on CNN literally now are like assets of the leftist branch of the CIA waging war against InfoWars.
Of the state.
Exactly. CNN is now the state. They are the criminal news network along with the New York Times. And this is beyond lying. I have had the New York Times, Washington Post, BuzzFeed, and others as literal saboteurs in my life. Going around with money, telling people, go ahead and lie. Calling people and threatening them, like finding stuff about other people. Or making it up and then threatening them, you better say something about Jones or you're going to get it. I mean, these people they've taken the gloves off, man. And you know what? Doesn't scare me. That's fine. I'm taking the gloves off, too.
That's good for me. I don't know if anyone else had.
I'm good.
We're good.
Good. Jack, I'm betting on America. And I think the power structure trying to repeal the First Amendment is going to backfire on them. They've bitten off more than they can chew. And I think Trump is betting on America, and I see the country turning around. So good luck to these authoritarians. The sleeping giant's awake, and I'm glad you guys are there. Thank you.
You want to take a little break? Yeah. Take a little break. We can get a new shirt if you want to.
It fits them.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Fits the maniac there.
Hey, that was good. You were still out here. Do you want to say anything else? Or you want to kill him?
They're going live soon at Infowars.com. I guess David Knight's on right now.
Yeah.
I wonder if Infowars is even covering this. It's like
we should see if they actually talked about you in the hearing at all.
Yeah. Can we go in there then?
Yeah.
Can I bring the cameras? I don't think we can bring the cameras in. You guys can't bring cameras in. Come on, so let's just stay out here.
Please move your hand block the hallway.
Look. Drop my face up one more time.
Yeah. You can. You got it.
Like the left yesterday were popping off every. Oh, of course.
And that's
of course.
And that's the tactic by them. It's good.
So strange.
Yeah. So what the left is doing in the Kavanaugh hearings right now, they're sort of, it's like a popcorn tactic, but it's like time release popcorn in a way. So what they do is they've got these leftist agents planted throughout, and that they're told this. They said wait a few minutes, wait 10 minutes between everyone who goes off, because when they go to pop off in the Kavanaugh hearings, they've got these agents planted, and so they'll say, oh, you wait 10 minutes, you wait 5 minutes, then once Kavanaugh's about to speak, or once someone's about to speak and we don't want to hear something, then you go and start disrupting. So the security doesn't actually know how many people are in there, because most of them are coming dressed up fairly normally. It could look like a staffer, it could look like a reporter. But what they do is it's a psychological operation, because they're waiting sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes in between. So it's, I mean, it is a psychological operation.
Stuff that you're right.
Yeah, it's a tactic.
You want to go in?
Yeah.
That we've had on this issue, and I think the problem is really well laid out. We've spent hours and hours and hours talking about this and what the issues are and what are the problems. I'm still not hearing what very specifically how we're getting after this. I know there's something that can be done. I tend to agree with you that no matter what's done, as long as these platforms are there, there's going to be people finding their way into it to do bad things. And obviously everybody wants to get that reduced as much as possible. And I'm glad to hear that you and the entire industry are trying to do something about this. The entity up here that I serve in, there are lots of people who would love to help you run your organizations through what we call the regulatory process. I hope that isn't all of them, obviously, and hopefully it isn't even the majority of them. But they will, there will be, and you've already seen efforts in that regard. But you're going to have to do things yourselves to try to get around this so that we don't have the horrible things happen there and spawn that regulation. So I want to drill down a little bit. Who, in each of your companies, who sets the standards or the description of what a coordinated manipulation or inauthentic behavior is? What entity do you have in each of your companies who make these determinations? Ms. Amber, please start.
Our policy team is setting those, and our security team is finding them. Coordinated inauthentic behavior means behavior on our site that's inauthentic, so people are not representing themselves to be who they are to be. And coordinated means they are coordinating it. And they can be coordinating with authentic actors and coordinating with inauthentic actors. Both are unacceptable.
When the team is sitting in a meeting, is there generally unanimity amongst them on something, that a fact situation comes in front of them? Is this something that is easy to recognize, people are unanimous about it, or do you wind up with debates as to whether or not certain platforms should be shut down?
I think on a lot of issues we face, like hate speech, there's broad debate. When it comes to what is an inauthentic actor, which is a fake account posing as someone, they're hard to find, but once we find them, we know what they are.
And what about the chairman referred to standards in his opening statement? Who sets these standards? Same committee?
The same group of people.
And are they published so that a user can look at that and see what well, give me some examples of standards that are unacceptable.
In the coordinated inauthentic behavior or in general?
In general.
Yeah, so we publish our community standards comprehensively. And what that does is define what's permitted on Facebook and what's not permitted on Facebook. So some examples are bullying is not permitted, hate is not permitted, language that leads to violence is not permitted. And this is published in detail, publicly.
Mr. Dorsey, where's your company for these things?
So we have a team called Trust and Safety who is responsible for designing and writing these policies. That reports up to our lead of legal and safety and our compliance teams, which reports directly to me.
I'd like to ask both of you, one of the things this committee wrestles with frequently when it comes to privacy issues and those kinds of things is the difference between a U.S. citizen and a non-U.S. citizen. And under U.S. law, we can do it differently under different circumstances. Do your companies make any distinction between a U.S. citizen versus a non-U.S. citizen? And I guess now I'm more focusing in on the kind of behavior we saw where elections are attempted and that sort of thing. Is there, Ms. Emery, does your company make a distinction as to weighing the activity of certain actors?
So for political and issue ads, we are now going through a verification process, and in order to run those in the United States, people have to verify that they are legally able to do that. So that's one area where we distinguish.
And what does that mean, legally able to do that? If a citizen of another country, any other country, decides they want to say something about a U.S. election, are they disqualified from doing that on your company?
In the free content, so what their posts are to their friends and family or publicly, people are allowed to talk about any issues in any country as long as they're not crossing over into the areas we discussed that aren't allowed, like hate and bullying. In advertising in U.S. elections, you have to be a U.S. citizen.
Mr. Dorsey?
We have very similar policies, and we do segment them by advertising and also the more organic social creation of content as well. We don't always have an understanding of where an account is located. We have to infer this oftentimes. And this is where we do get a lot of help from our law enforcement partners, is not only to understand where some of these threats are coming from, but also the intent. And the faster that we get that information, the faster that we can act.
One of the concerns that I have, and I appreciate that explanation, but what we've seen on this committee and actually seen in other contexts is that in today's world it's so easy to either employ or even impersonate a U.S. citizen to do something in a given context. Do you have difficulties in that regard?
Well, finding inauthentic behavior is a challenge, and I think you're seeing us put real resources to bear. This is why we're investing so heavily in people and technology. This is why we're investing in programs like verification. I think the other step we're taking here is around transparency. So being able to see if people bought political ads, where they're located, being able to see who's running a page. These are steps we think are really important for helping us find what, to your point, can be very difficult things to find.
Mr. Dorsey,
briefly. We've decided to focus a lot more on the behavioral patterns that we're seeing across the network. While we can't always recognize in real time where someone might be coming from, or if they are representing someone who does not exist, we can see common patterns of behavior utilizing the network to spread their information. So we have been building a lot of our machine learning and deep learning technology to recognize these patterns and shut them down before they spread too quickly, and then also link them to other accounts that demonstrate similar patterns. And we've gotten a lot more leverage out of that in terms of scalability than working on systems to identify whether it's a fake profile or not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I want to thank you and
Sir, okay, you can't stand over there. Go.
And what is not often remembered, John McCain wrote some of the really important rules of the road for the internet when he was chairman of the Commerce Committee. It was always bipartisan. I very much appreciate both of you mentioning our wonderful friend John McCain. And Ms. Sandberg, Dorsey, welcome, and I enjoyed visiting with you. And let me go right to the question that is foremost on my mind, and that is consumer privacy as a national security issue. Technology companies like yours hold vast amounts of very private information about millions of Americans. The prospect of that data being shared with shady businesses, hackers, and foreign governments is a massive privacy and national security concern. The Russians keep looking for more sophisticated ways of attacking our democracy. Personal data reveals not just your personal and political leanings, but what you buy, even who you date. My view is personal data is now the weapon of choice for political influence campaigns, and we must not make it easier for our adversaries to seize these weapons and use them against us. So I'd like to see if we could do a yes or no on this. And I wrote it because I think we can. My view is, from this point on, beefing up protections and controls on personal privacy must be a national security priority. Like a yes or no, Ms. Sandberg?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Okay. Let me turn now to a question based on a lot of analysis my office has done and you all talked to us about. We have reviewed Facebook privacy audits required by the 2011 consent agreement after your company was found to use unfair and deceptive practices. One section of the audit deals with how Facebook shared the personal information of Americans' smartphone manufacturers. These included the Chinese companies Huawei and ZTE. I found portions of this audit very troubling, and the findings could affect many Americans. I believe, Ms. Sandberg, the American people deserve to see this information. Will you commit this morning to making public a portion of your audits that relate to Facebook's partnerships with smartphone manufacturers?
Senator, I really appreciate the question and the chance to clarify this issue because it's really important. With regards to the audits, our third-party auditor, PwC, does audits on a rolling basis every 2 years, but they're continual. They're given to us. We have shared them with the FTC voluntarily, and we will continue to do that. I can't commit right in this moment to making that public because a lot of that is sensitive information, which could help people game the system, but we will certainly work with you to see what disclosures would be prudent. But
let's do this, because that's a constructive answer, and I've got other things I've got to cover. I'm just going to assume you will work with this. We understand the question of redaction on sensitive national security matters. Can you get back to me within a week with respect to how Facebook will handle what I think is troubling information?
We're going to get back to you as quickly as possible. We can definitely prioritize this request. So we'll do it as fast as we can, depending on the volume of requests everyone has.
Thank you. And look, so you all know where I'm going with this. To me, protecting data privacy has to be a higher tier issue in terms of national security. It's going to be the foundation of the legislation that I've talked to both of you about. So that's why I feel strongly, and I think your answer is constructive, and hope we can get that quickly. What I also want to get to with you, Ms. Sandberg, is the issue of micro-targeting to discourage voting. This is one of the most powerful tools in the propaganda arsenal, going after individual Americans with ads and really lasering in on the ability to affect political campaigns. It's certainly been used in the past with the Russians to discourage minority Americans from voting. Would Facebook's current policies prohibit using micro-targeting to discourage voting?
Senator, we feel very strongly about this. There is a long history in this country of trying to suppress civil rights and voting rights, and that activity has no place on Facebook. Discriminatory advertising has no place on Facebook.
So what are you doing to prohibit this micro-targeting? I mean, what about ads that share false information about the date of the election or the location of a polling place, or ads that tell people they can vote with a text message from their phone? You have said that it's unacceptable to target minorities and others, but I really need to drill down more deeply in knowing, because I think this is a primary we get bipartisan agreement on. What do you do to deal with micro-targeting?
So with everything, when we're looking for abuse of our systems and things that are against our policies, we have a combination of people reviewing ads, and we have a combination of automated systems and machine learning that help us find things and take them down quickly.
I'll hold the record open for that. Could I have, say, within a week, a written answer that would get into some of those specifics?
We're going to get you answers to your questions as quickly and thoroughly.
Last question deals with foreign governments aiding hoaxes and misinformation. And I'd like to get both of you, in fact, why don't you start with this, Mr. Dorsey. Do either of you or your company have any indication that Iran, Russia, or their agents have supported, coordinated with, or attempted to amplify the reach of hoaxes? Dorsey.
Of hoaxes?
Yeah.
We certainly have evidence to show that they have utilized our systems and gamed our systems to amplify information. I'm not sure in terms of the definition of hoax in this case, but it is likely.
Just 2 weeks ago, we took down 650 pages and accounts from Iran. Some were tied to state-owned media, and some of them were pretending to be free press that they weren't free press. And so, depends how you define a hoax, but I think we're certainly seeing them use misinformation campaigns.
My time is up. The only other area I'm going to want to explore with you is we've got to deal with this back and forth between the private sector and the government. Very often, we ask you all about things you're doing, and you say, we need the government to also help us get to ABC, and then the government says the same thing about you. We'll want to explore that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the every time.
I want to thank you both for being here, first of all. There's an empty chair next to you from Google. They're not here today. And maybe it's because they're arrogant, or maybe it's because there's a report that, as of last night, this just posted at 3:36 yesterday, this group went on basically pretending to be Kremlin-linked trolls. They did everything. They used the details of the Internet Research Agency, which is a Kremlin-linked troll farm, and were able to buy ads online and place them on sites like CNN, CBS This Morning, HuffPost, Daily Beast. So I'm sure they don't want to be here to answer these questions. But I thank you both for being here. I was happy to read in your opening statements, Sandberg, that talk about our democracy, our democratic process. You acknowledge responsibility for protecting our process. And you talked about our adversaries, clearly linking the company to the values and the importance of this country, and I think an acknowledgement that your company would not exist were it not for in the United States because of the freedoms that we have. Twitter didn't go as far, but you did describe yourself as a global town square, but you did say that you want to support free and open democratic debate. You did refer to our democracy, and you did say that Twitter was built on the core tenet of freedom of expression, which is a very important core tenet. Here's why this is relevant, because we're here today because we've learned the hard way that social media that was largely seen as a tool for incredible good, also what makes it good can be manipulated by bad actors to do harm. And that's what's happened. We've all learned that the hard way. And so what we're asking you to do, and I think what you've agreed to do, is to use the powers that you have within your platforms to crack down on certain users who are hostile actors, who are using disinformation or misinformation or hate speech for the purposes of sowing discord or interfering in our internal affairs. And that's a positive. Here's a problem, though, that we have to start thinking about. What happens when an authoritarian regime asks you to do that? Because their definition of disinformation or misinformation could actually be the truth. Their discord, or what they define as discord, would be things like defending human rights. Interfering in their internal affairs, they would define as advocating for democracy. And the reason why I think that answering that question is so important is because it's going to define what your companies are. Are your companies really built on these core values? Or are they global companies, like all these other companies that come around here, who see their number one obligation to make money and therefore market access irrespective of what the price they have to pay to do so? So, for example, in 2016, the New York Times reported that Facebook was working on a program to restrict stories from showing up in news feeds based on the user's geography. The story implies, and I know it hasn't been implemented, but it implies that that was being used in order to potentially try to get back into China. But any authoritarian government could try to use that tool. Vietnam, by the way, where you do operate, has a new law beginning on 2019, January 1st, that will require you to store user data inside the country and hand over that data to the government of users suspected of anti-state activity, including spreading news that may impede, annoy, or hurt the economy. For example, democracy activists. Twitter has a policy of accommodating countries that have different ideas about the contours of freedom of expression by selectively blocking tweets and accounts. For example, one of the countries you comply with is Pakistan, has asked you to block sites for blasphemy. The blasphemy, 647 cases of blasphemy over a 10-year period from 86 to 2007. 50% of those, 50% of those cases were on non-Muslim Pakistanis. In a country, 3% non-Muslim. One high-profile case is Asia Bibi, who's been sentenced to death after a personal dispute over drinking water with a group of women. They accused her of insulting the Prophet. She's arrested in prison, sentenced to death. Not relevant to Twitter, but relevant to the blasphemy laws that Pakistan has asked you to comply with. Turkey has requested that you block over 12,000 accounts. Since 2014, you've blocked over 700. Many of them are journalists. One of them is an NBA player, Enes Kanter. Russia blocked almost 80 accounts as of last check. You complied with that. One of them was a pro-Ukrainian account in 2014. And so here's why all this is relevant. I guess the first question for Facebook is, how would these principles of our democracy, do you support them only in the United States, or are these principles that you feel obligated to support around the world?
We support these principles around the world. You mentioned Vietnam. We do not have servers in Vietnam, and with very minor exceptions of imminent threats that were happening, we've never turned over information to the Vietnamese government, including political information.
And you never will?
We would not.
You would not agree to do so in order to operate?
We would only operate in the country when we can do so in keeping with our values.
And that would apply to China as well?
That would apply to China as well.
Thank you. And on Twitter, how does blocking the account of journalists or an NBA player in keeping with a core tenet of freedom of expression?
Well, we enacted a policy some time ago to allow for per country content takedown, meaning that within the boundaries of that nation, the content would not be able to be seen, but the rest of the world can see it. And that's important because the world can still have a conversation around what's happening in a market like Turkey. And also, we have evidence to show that a lot of citizens within Turkey access that content through proxies and whatnot as well. So we do believe, and we have fought the government, the Turkish government, consistently around their requests. We would like to fight for every single person being able to speak freely and to see everything, but we have to realize that it's going to take some bridges to get there.
Well, because a Twitter spokesman, in response to BuzzFeed article, I think about 2 years ago, here's the quote defending this policy. It said, many countries, including the United States, have laws that may apply to tweets and or Twitter account content. And then you went on to say what you said in our continuing efforts to make services available to users everywhere, etc. You would agree that there's no moral equivalency between what we're asking you to do here and what Turkey has asked you to do, or other countries have asked you to do in that same realm.
We do have to comply with the laws that govern us within each one of these nations, but our ideals are similar, and our desires.
Whose ideas are similar? I'm sorry.
The companies
are similar to who?
Similar to how we were founded and where we were founded in this country.
I guess my point is, you're not arguing though that what we're asking you to do here on disinformation against foreign efforts to interfere in our elections is the same as what Turkey or other authoritarian regimes have asked you to do abroad against political opponents of theirs. They're not morally equivalent, these two things.
Correct.
Thank you.
Here, recognize Senator Hammer for questions, and then members should know that we will take a short recess, no more than 5 minutes, and then reconvene.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you both for being here. I think we've learned quite a bit over the course of the last couple of years. I think it would be an understatement to say that we were all flat-footed in 2016. Social media platforms, the intelligence community, this committee, government as a whole. Obviously, we want to learn from that, and what I'd like to start with
She said they're going to come out.
Where's Duet?
Right here. Right here.
Are you sure? Get the rest out of him?
Oh, yes, sir.
amazing all the government buildings are covered in marble? What'd you think about what you heard in there?
At least I heard something about China, but like they're suppressing my rights, like you're talking about China would do, or Pakistan. They're the ones, Senator Warner, all them, literally saying ban hundreds of conservatives, ban thousands of us.
Alex Jones, should you be able to testify?
Yeah, great. Seriously, do I have a First Amendment? Because you talk about authoritarian regimes. They're lying about me and then trying to deplatform me. 26 companies working in concert, violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. And now Senator Warner and Senator Wyden have said, quote, there's thousands of sites worse than Alex Jones. So we're becoming like Cuba, we're becoming like Vietnam, we're becoming like China. So regardless of what people think about me or the straw men, should I have a First Amendment, or should these companies be able to violate the whole Safe Harbor Act and all that and then ban conservatives en masse?
Yeah, I don't know anything about your site.
No, but about the First Amendment.
Yeah, I support the First Amendment. I just ask questions about it.
I know you were the only one that brought up China. Are you aware of the deplatforming going on?
In China?
No, here. Big tech companies are purging conservatives. They're shadow banning people en masse.
Yeah, well, my broader concern is that what we are trying to do in terms of preventing foreign interference in our elections, that technology could be used by authoritarian governments to argue, we want you to do the same thing against people that are in our country operating. For example, for them, misinformation would be something like the truth. For them, sowing instability would be supporting democracy and free
But the
speech.
Democrats are doing what you said China does.
That you got from Sheryl Sandberg and Jack Dorsey on that question.
I think Facebook now I think it's important for them not to comply with any efforts to sort of go after freedom.
But what about the Democrats purging conservatives?
She's
not answering. Just the Republicans are acting like it isn't happening. Thank God Trump is.
Well, but
it's weird to me.
Oh yeah, it's really weird. There's no purge of conservatives. There's no shadow banning of members of Congress.
Bias in social media?
Yeah, who's this guy? We deplatformed him.
Are you concerned about bias in social media?
Well, I think the bigger bias is against freedom of expression. Everybody should be. There's a look.
It's happening here.
Going
it's
after,
happening here, but you say I don't exist.
Is that a heckler or a press gaggle?
Look at this guy. He's saying that I don't exist, and they're deplatforming.
I just don't know who you are, man.
And they,
I don't read your website.
Sure, and they demonize me in these very hearings, and then he plays dumb.
Here's the question.
Infowars.com, you know what it is.
Does Google, does Facebook, does
That's why you didn't get elected.
Do they need to be regulated like do they need to be regulated?
Marco Rubio the snake. Little frat boy here.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Who are you, man?
Yeah,
Who's
sure.
This guy? I swear to God.
Yeah, you better hope you can deplatform me. Tens of millions of views.
Infowars.
Better than Rush Limbaugh. He knows who Infowars is. Playing this joke over here. That's why, and the deplatforming didn't work.
But here's the question. Here's a question.
Don't touch me again, man. I'm asking you not to touch me.
Well, sure, I'll just pat you nicely.
I know, but I don't want to be. I don't know.
You want me to get arrested?
I don't know who you are.
It's not just going to take my First Amendment.
Man.
It's not just enough to take my First Amendment. Oh, he'll beat me up.
I didn't say that.
He didn't know who I am, but he's so mad. You're not going to silence me. You're not going to silence America.
But there are people.
You are literally like a little gangster thug.
There are people in this country.
Rubio just threatened to physically take care of me.
There are people who feel that they're being silenced. They feel like
he tells you China's the problem, which it is, but they're taking our free speech right now.
Social media platforms, Facebook,
there goes Rubio.
Twitter. Do you believe that these platforms need to be regulated like a public utility, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, I prefer not to. I prefer competition take care of that. But obviously, we're going to watch closely to make sure that these tools that are being used. I mean, one thing is to say we're going to go after foreign interference designed to sow instability.
But it's already going on here.
Another thing is to
the
say
Democrats
we're
are
going to
raping the Republicans.
Because at some point, someone has to make a determination. What's the difference between misinformation from abroad and differences of opinion within the United States?
And that's happening
here.
here.
It's a very fine line, and that's something we need to be careful about. We don't overreach in that direction.
But then he doesn't know about Infowars being banned. He doesn't know about the top news story in the country.
About how they, not just how they apply that within the United States,
Infowars.
But they don't become agents of authoritarian regimes abroad to crack down on free speech. Because
I wonder why Rubio got so mad at me.
There's a balance between what is free speach and what people disagree on.
Poor Rubio.
I'm sorry, we got to go.
Yeah, man, I got to go to the committee.
Exactly.
You guys can talk to this clown.
Oh, yeah. Look, he's a little frat boy. So cool. Go back to your bathhouse. Compromise at the bathhouses. There goes Rubio, little punk. Anyways, you got to love people that come from authoritarian regimes, and then they don't even appreciate America.
So freedom of speech. What do you make of the fact that you just got into it with Senator Marco Rubio, former GOP presidential contender, actually does and you're here and you're speaking. I mean, this is America. So how is your speech being silenced?
They're trying to block me from live streams. We have one more left on Twitter. They took down all the others that had millions of viewers, 20 million subscribers. They just took all that. Now they're lobbying in these very hearings to take me off final platforms. and then they bring up, quote, fake news in these things and claim anybody they disagree with is fake news. Just like he's saying China does, they're doing it.
Why are you giving this guy airtime?
Oh, see? Oh, the left.
Why are you giving this guy airtime?
Yeah,
It's like we do everyone.
because it's what it's all about. The left doesn't want free speech. They're about deplatforming.
Don't do this.
Where's the
Don't do this. Don't give this guy airtime.
Anyways.
Thank you. Thank you.
Plus, they didn't invite us. We have to crash. It's usually like
Did you hear Rubio threaten to take me out?
He said I can take care of myself.
No, I'll take care of it myself. Jack Masova, tell folks what you just witnessed here. Here, come on over, Jack.
So, I mean, my guess is, you know, Rubio may not have recognized Alex because maybe he hadn't seen you with the beard. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt of this one. He may not have known you with the beard.
Oh, he knew.
That's what it was. No, but then you said, "Yo, where you going?" From Infowars.com, and they all said Infowars.com, and he started saying, I think he actually had a good line about how authoritarian governments overseas will ban people that did.
And I'm saying the left's doing it here.
Right, so then you basically brought up, well, what about when it happens here? And then it's, I don't know who you are, and you're an idiot, and everything. And you put your hand on your shoulder and you're saying, Marco, I'm trying to explain this to you. And then, get your hand off me, don't touch me. And it was, I mean, I didn't think.
And the other guy's like, Arr! And then I'm like, hey, he's like, well, I can take care of myself.
I can take care of I don't need security. I'm going to take care of you myself.
What's the main point you're trying to make?
I wonder why Rubio hates me so much.
We didn't know who you are.
Doesn't know who you are.
He just hates me so much because we ran that bathhouse story.
Hi, I'm Penny Starr with Breitbart. Can you just tell me what your main your message is today?
Well, as you know, Breitbart is being deplatformed. Thousands of other sites are being blocked, being shadow banned. 93% was the latest number they were blocking Breitbart. They are openly saying, take us all off the air and block us, and then they play dumb and act like it's not happening.
Yeah. So you're trying to call them out on doing.
Well, they've had 11 of these hearings, and I haven't heard myself being brought up yet. But if this is the case, it's the first one they haven't, because they sit there and they bring up these incredible lies about me, and then the CEOs sit there and respond back. And they'll go, Alex Jones is calling for violence. They go, yes, we know, but he didn't violate our rules. I didn't call for violence.
He says they are talking about you in the hearing.
Oh, right now, let's see what's going there.
Thank you.
Never ends, man. I'm here to face my accusers, one way or the other.
Jack.
What did they say?
Just somebody commented saying they're talking about you in the hearing right now.
Yep. Yeah, Marco Rubio said, I'll take you out.
Right here. Ma'am.
How you doing?
Right here.
And there's no prohibition against that. I'm never going to dip it down before you go in.
They might just gone to recess.
Okay, let's go back.
A little bit too late.
Should have. Jack's smarter than me. What do you guys cover here and I'll cover there?
Who?
Where's
Jack's back there.
Jack Wilson?
No, Pacific.
Hey, Senator, you guys have dehumanized me. You act like I don't exist. You've asked me to be platform. Stop violating my First Amendment in those hearings. Yeah, you guys are a bigger threat than China, the Democratic Party, trying to take my rights and my speech. Shame on you. Shame on you, you un-American tyrant. Where's Pasova again?
He's back there. He's on the phone.
So did we miss Dorsey right when we ran down here?
No, I said Pacific.
Well, he said down there. Unbelievable how they play dumb. Do what?
This hall is usually where I get everybody.
Why did you decide to come here today?
Because they demonize me in all these hearings and tell lies about me, and then I never get to face my accusers. So I'm going to start showing up at these things. Trying to take my free speech and my children's free speech and lie about me, build a straw man to destroy my free speech, and then never even let me challenge my accusers. Absolute cowards. Unbelievable. So that's what we're doing. That's what Infowars.com and Newswars.com are doing.
What do you think about what they've discussed so far?
Well, I walked out, and that's what people comment if they were talking about me. Probably talking about fake news. What were they saying?
I don't know. They just said they're talking about you.
They probably said, well, when we come back after adjourning, we're going to discuss the evil Alex Jones. So evil, he can't face his accusers. When they had the McCarthy hearings here, and a lot of them were real communists they were going up against, they got to face their accuser. But in America in 2018, I don't get to face my accusers. And that's wrong. Well, you see the Senator Beeline?
I got all that one. I got all the Rubio. This was you're going?
I'm still going. You guys actually quote me?
At least you got it.
See, he never does it. Yeah. Do you want to give him your number? You got a card? Yeah, what's your number?
512. I'm sure. All right, folks, we're in the hallway, directly next to the hearing room.
So are you going to get in the hearing?
No, they're not going to let me talk. All they do is lie about me, but I'm just here to let them know they're not going to get away with it. I think we already hit them pretty hard at the press conferences and everything.
Oh, really?
Cool. All right. Just say who you are. What's Jack think we should do?
Thank you.
Well, they're taking a break. He just ran off. I don't know.
He's on the phone because the woman wrote he's talking to
What a waste of time.
It's like you were born. Yeah, both of these phones.
Hey, did you see how Rubio said something like, "I'll take you out myself"? Or something.
Yeah. I don't need security.
He was like shaking and hated me.
Oh no, he didn't know who you
Isn't it
were.
funny though that he stood there at least a little bit longer and engaged you, and like Wyden's just like,
Yeah.
That wasn't Wyden. That was Blumenthal.
I thought that was. No, I think that was right. That was Ron Wyden. That was Schmeltz.
That was not Wyden. Or maybe it was Wyden. I mean Warner.
Yeah, it's not Warner. It's Wyden. That's the Schmeltz.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You didn't pass the Schmel test.
Didn't pass the Schmel test. He's the one who told Sessions, this doesn't pass the Schmel test. Oh, here, I'll back it up for everybody so they can watch it on
In case you're missing, in case you're just joining in.
Stop violating the First Amendment in those areas. We're out here in case Jack Dorsey comes out with a knife and just say, hey, I hope you really are supporting First Amendment. Shame on you, you un-American tyrant.
It's that turn. Who's next?
What?
Just the way you're like, who's next?
You like that?
Yeah. It's a classic day.
What do you think? Should we keep streaming here? Should I kill this?
I said keep that one going.
Okay.
What's this, a command base?
I mean, this has been the stream the whole time.
I did do a short one.
I'll get that.
You streaming inside?
Oh yeah, whole time.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, we kept going to the door and having kicking us out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're putting our, because I thought I heard you say something in there. And I'm like, we rushed the door like that.
Get out.
You could have, but
I don't know if they're going to come out or whatever. Still going?
I'm still going. Yeah, this has been going since before.
So remember, we're live, guys. Don't tell them the secret that we're really Martian agents.
Okay.
Beep, 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 beep.
Beep, 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 beep. Russian bots. I am Russian bot. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Russian bot in the Capitol. Russian bot in the Senate. Beep, 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 beep. Who's going to give me orders? Beep, 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 beep. How to walk into the whole general order. Beep, 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 beep. Russia controls me. Beep, 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 beep. Russia says make America great again. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Russia says grow U.S. economy 4.6. Save Second Amendment. Take care of veterans. Beep, 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 beep. Pretty stupid.
I mean,
I could go do it in front of the media. Get all of the news.
don't overshadow your epic speech this morning.
You thought it was okay?
Oh, that was fantastic. The press conference was top notch. The best thing we've ever done, maybe.
Think so? You guys are awesome.
That was definitely peak.
It was. Clear, concise, and then to have the media confused at it. I mean, they literally couldn't understand what you were saying.
I didn't understand.
That guy that you told dumber than a box of rocks is telling us, he called me dumber than a box of rocks. He thinks the government's dirt. Obama's done in 2016. I'm like, really?
You really are dumber than a box of rocks.
2017.
Yeah, well, no, he said, 2017. And then he goes, he said Saddam Hussein started the Iraq War by throwing babies out of incubators. I'd never heard such. And I'm like, oh my God, you people don't know.
I'm like, yeah, dude, the president came in on January 20th, 2017, and they fund the next year in December.
Yeah.
And they know there's a government shutdown. It's like these people, they literally think knowledge is like a conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, anyways. I love how Rubio got really pissed. Dude, why do you get so mad? We didn't put out the bathhouse story and the photos of him like at gay parties. But I mean, I'm not against the fact that he's gay. I think it's fine. What? I mean, it's okay that Rubio's gay. He has to act tough, and he's probably attracted to me. That's why, kind of my face.
You have that effect on.
Well, he likes married men. It's like, I said, Rubio, come on, I'm a married man. Nothing against the fact that you're gay. Seriously, I'm not attacking you.
When did it was phone parties too, wasn't it?
Phone parties, yeah.
About phone parties.
Look up Marco Rubio and the gay parties. And, let's just say he likes succulent hot dogs like Obama. Which is fine. Jones issues homophobic hate rant.
Our viewers just keep going up and up. For people that just tuned in, you want to walk them through what we're doing here?
I wonder if InfoWars is even covering this now.
I've called it everybody's been covering. Thalen's been getting it from the early mornings.
Beep, 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 beep. No, but seriously, hold on. Receiving transmission from Putin. Putin, we are receiving transmission. Make America great again. Defend the Second Amendment. Save America. That is the Russian order. Yes, comrade, I will. Satellite transmission ceasing. Thank you, War Putin. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Russian bot 79485. Beep, 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 beep.
You don't get the full effect on camera.
Huh?
You don't get the full effect on camera. The whole.
I am a Russian bot. Beep, 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 beep. But I'm not getting my full satellite transmission. Needs to be Google again. Hold on, get a transmission. Yes, Putin. I am receiving orders, Master. Yes, Comrade Trump. Yes, make America great again. Operation going well. America growing, crushing Russia. Yes, Lord. Yes, make the country great. Yes, defeat the Democrats that wish to destroy America. Yes, how evil of you, Master. Beep, 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 beep. All right.
Good. We're going to put that a little bit out as Alex Jones getting actual Russian marching orders.
In Senate Intelligence Building.
C10, I've gone a little insane. You call Russian bot enough, you start believing. Tim, tell us what you think about this today.
Like I've said before, a lot of these hearings, they just don't go anywhere. They ask these people what they're going to do, Facebook, Google, whoever, they ask them what they're going to do. They just say, we'll get back to you.
They jerk them off.
They just let them keep going and going until the next hearing. Nobody's ever held accountable now. Nobody's held accountable for their actions anymore. It's okay for Facebook, Google, whoever, just to get away with whatever they want to and sell our information.
To the Chinese, and then censor me.
To anybody that'll pay them, they'll sell it to them. Chinese, whoever will pay $1, they'll sell your information, your private information, to them. And so I'm not okay with that.
Damn you, Russian bots. These Russian bots are everywhere. Oh, she likes your Russian bot. I'm not a Russian bot. You're not a Russian bot, comrade. All right. So they'll not come out.
Not right now. Not if they're back in the hearing.
Let's go back into that. It's going to be low key. down.
Yeah.
Everybody else is doing it. They're going to give a shit. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Tomorrow's news today. So dangerous, it's banned planetary-wide by tyrants. They're trying in there right now to ban me. They've demonized me in every one of these hearings. We're told, I haven't been in there much, but I'm told they demonized me. We'll see what happens. All right, DL.
Next week, we'll hook up and I will get my
Set up right here.
I talked to Jack Dorsey today. Told him I really appreciate his commitment to the First Amendment. But I did not call for violence.
Russian-generated tweets that targeted me that had gone to as many as 363,000 followers. So why doesn't Twitter notify individuals like me that we have been targeted by foreign adversaries? I should find out from looking at Clemson University's database and working with their researchers. It seems to me that once you determine that, you should notify the people who are the targets.
I agree. It's unacceptable. And we, as I said earlier, we want to find ways to work more openly, not just with our peer companies, but with researchers and universities and also law enforcement, because they all bring a different perspective to our work and can see our work in a very different light. And we are going to do, we're going to do our best to make sure that we catch everything and we inform people when it affects them, but we're not going to catch everything. So it is useful to have external partnership and work with them to make sure that we're delivering a message in a uniform manner where people actually are without requiring them to find a new channel to get that information. So this is where a lot of our thinking is going and a lot of our work is going, but we recognize we need to communicate more.
Hey, they kicked me out from filming. I think I got an awesome shot of Alex walking down the middle of the.
Oh, good. Hey,
What do you think? Should I keep
I would
filming?
say kill your stream so they can archive it and post it, and then we got to text those guys. So you've got both conversations.
Oh yeah. All right, folks. That's gonna do it for this stream. Now we're gonna take it down and re-upload it. Alex is in there now, looking at Jack Dorsey testifying in Congress. Stay tuned.